Hi, the library lady. I'm finally back. I'm sorry. But I have a tale of badassery today. The Age of Reason by Thomas Paine. It was published in 1794 and 1795. Two dates because it was published in two sections. The first section was a general criticism of Christianity and of the church and of the Bible, and he was making a case for deism. And the second part was a little bit more thorough in its examination of the Bible. And what he would do is he would take the Bible and, using no other outside resources, um, he would systematically invalidate the different books of the Bible. He went all the way through. He was very thorough, almost to the point of being a little too repetitive in my opinion. But that's basically the gist of it. So, of course, anytime you criticize religion, it's going to draw a heavy backlash, especially in the 1700s, early 1800s. Like, that's just a no-no. So, Thomas Paine, he had intentions of publishing something about religion at some point in his life. He was thinking it would be later in his life. But it was the French Revolution, and he was about to go off to jail, and he found it important to get his message out to the people. He was living in a time where people were becoming very disillusioned with religion because the church was getting all wrapped up in political matters and not really working in the best interest of the people. And it was just turning a lot of people off to religion altogether. And Thomas Paine, people like to call him an atheist, but he definitely was an atheist. And if you read the book, you can see that he's anything but an atheist. He calls himself a deist. And as far as I can gather, I'm not a religion scholar. Don't take my word for it all. Just if you want to know more about it, do your own research. But very briefly, deism is a belief in God based on what you can see in nature. He looked at the world, he looked at nature, from the tiniest organism to our body, to the natural cycles, to how we all relate to each other and all these systems relate to each other. He doesn't believe that it could all come together so perfectly without a higher being, and of course the higher being we call God. So that's where he's coming from. He doesn't want people, he wants to get rid of the church, but he doesn't want people to get rid of the idea of God. So that's where he was coming from with writing The Age of Reason. And of course, the clergy and government officials were getting really angry with him for this. And in England is where a lot of the censorship was happening. And it wasn't so much a case of, oh, I don't want my kid reading that book, let's take it away. It was pretty heavy. Like, people were getting put into prison for distributing and publishing the book, for publishing the pamphlet. And there's even this case, which I thought was really cool. This guy named Richard Carlisle, it was early 1800s. He was publishing and distributing the pamphlet. This was in England. And during one of the trials, he was being brought to trial for blasphemy, and he was going to go to jail for a long time. And instead of, trying to deny anything, during his case in the defense for himself, he actually read the whole text of The Age of Reason so that it would have to go down in transcripts, and then those transcripts had to be made public. And so The Age of Reason would never go away. And so that was kind of his gift to us now in the future. I just thought that was really cool. That's a really cool story. Um, so, yeah, people were getting thrown in jail left and right for this pamphlet, but I think people were just hungry for truth, and they were hungry for something that um, would save them from the tyranny of the government and of church. And I think this was the answer that they found. What I liked about The Age of Reason, it was written very accessibly for the layman. There wasn't a lot of like flowery language or anything that you might associate with late 1700s, early 1800s language. And it was actually kind of fun to read. Like, he was talking about the word prophet and how it's more closely related to a poet. And he was saying like how ridiculous it would be if we actually interpreted the word prophet to mean someone that told the future. And he cited a Bible verse where a group of prophets were traveling in the desert together, and sarcastically he said, "A whole group of them." So, and that kind of sarcasm is found all throughout the book, and I thought it was really funny and really refreshing, and so it made it a lot more bearable to read. It wasn't so heavy-handed, and it wasn't, you know, it almost could have been written like a month ago instead of like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So I enjoyed it. It's probably just a one-time read for me. A little bit convoluted with the second part especially. But I'm glad that I did, and I have a little bit more of a framework to think about when talking about religion and politics. Next time, I have this book. It's called On the Western Front, All Quiet on the Western Front. And I've read a lot of it already. I've been having to use sex noises a lot to describe this book. It's so good. It's so good. So I'm gonna have fun next time I am able to make a video for it. So definitely come back.